let's try this again. Here's the pool. Now I started videoing this one when I started on the job, and when I went to check the memory card, what I realized was that I had taken and I had put my GoPro and it was just snapping pictures. It wasn't actually videoing. So I'll put some snapshots into the video so that you guys can see what I'm doing, but I will go over it again. Alright, the problem on this pool is, and I will back up so you can see the entire pool. There it goes. Okay, this liner floated. Alright, and when a liner floats, what we're talking about is the water underneath the pool itself becomes stronger than the water in the pool, and it will literally pick the liner up. You can kind of see, if we look right there, you see how the liner kind of, it's not good, I'm not sure how well it's showing on the video, but you can kind of see how the liner's floating on the bottom. Sometimes it'll float, the water will push back out, and it'll wrinkle, and you'll end up with these wrinkles. It's real indicative when you end up with a wrinkle in your shallow end, and it kind of looks like a star, because what will happen is the ground will release some air, and it'll get a little air pocket in there, and that's when you get the heavy downpour. And then when the water table sets back down, it'll set the liner back down and push the water out, and it'll create a big wrinkle with a star in the middle of your pool. Now, several things can cause that. A, you could have a hole in the liner. B, it could be, in this case, with the waterfall and all that's right here. They had previously, when the homeowner told me he had bought the house, there was a break in the water line, and they had done a repair on that side. Now my suspicions are that when they did the repair over in this, behind the wall, that they didn't pack the ground down correctly, and now the water is coming behind the rainfall, is coming behind the ground, getting underneath the wall, and it's coming over right over where you see the pool bottom damaged. Well, we have a spot right there it's damaged, and then a spot over here that we have damage to the pool bottom. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a pump in here and go ahead and get some more of this water down, and then I'm going to go right about over, you know, I might even do it back over here. Nah, I'm not going to, this bottom seems pretty solid over here. I'm going to go right over in this area over here, and I'm going to dig down probably about the depth of that bucket, and I'm going to put the pump lower than the bottom of the pool. And what that'll do is, we have a high water table here, and this high water table allows, it's, you know, if you go out somewhere in this yard and dig down to about this level, you're going to hit water. Okay, and so with the high water table, I need to drop the water table in the yard. So we'll set that pump and just let it run overnight, and what it'll do is it'll slowly dry out the ground around here. It'll pump it in the surface water and let it shed off the ground. Now, if we got that large of springs in here, it's possible that you could never drop the water table low enough, but I can get it down below the bottom of this pool, right? And I know I can do that, and then I may have to fight the water coming in that spring, if it's a spring. I actually don't think this spring, we had more rain last night and yesterday, so a lot of this water is rainwater, my suspicions. But until I get that pump in there and set that pump over there, that's what's going to be the true tell of what is actually the problem, whether it's a spring or if it's watershed from rain. And but I won't know, and I won't know what to do to fix it until I get this water down. Now, also I want to say this, right? I disconnected this liner from this wall. I would have never disconnected this liner from these fittings if the liner had any age on it. This liner is less than 6 months old. When the homeowner bought this house, he just purchased it. The other company that did that repair over here, they replaced the liner. So it's a new liner, and a liner that's less than a year old, I can take it loose, I can reconnect the gasket and the fittings. But if you disconnect a liner that has any age to it, you'll never get those fittings back on securely. I think I've done one that is 4 years old, and but the risk factor is so high that you'll ruin the liner, and so it's real risky doing what I'm doing. You have to really be careful, and so the average homeowner, I do not recommend people taking those fittings loose. By the way, that over there, and I'll put a picture. That's the light, the one with the string hanging out, and I videoed how I pulled the light cord and the string out. That's a return fitting over there, and that's the skimmer. The other thing too about the skimmer, they did not put a gasket properly. Whoever installed the liner failed to put a proper gasket. When you install a skimmer, it has a gasket in between the skimmer and the liner. There's a gasket in between there, and then you got the liner, a gasket, and then the faceplate. And what I see a lot of times is people come in to put liners in, and they will use the foam that is installed on the wall as their inner gasket. Well, that's not a proper gasket, right? And that foam thins out over the years, and it's not as strong. What you want to do is put a cork gasket in there, and that's also, they make cork and paper gaskets. You always want to go with the cork one. They cost a little bit more, but it's a better product. The paper ones, it's paper, right? It'll deteriorate too easily. So that. I think the other thing I also described when I messed up my GoPro, this liner, and I would have done the same thing. When you replace a liner, this pool, I'm gonna guess, is probably 5, 6 years old. It's a steel wall pool. Down here in the south, all steel wall pools rust. We have very acidic ground, and they're gonna rust. They're gonna get surface rust on them. People ask me all the time, is there anything to worry about? Nothing at all. It'll be there for way past our lifespan. It'll be there 30, 40, 50 years, but they're gonna rust. We have different type wall pools down here. You have steel wall, you have wood wall, you have polymer walls, you have concrete walls. They all differ in the type of wall pool, but a steel wall pool always rusts. Okay, and any salesman who tells you a steel wall pool won't rust, chase him off your property because he's lying, right? And I've been, just in my 30-something years I've been doing pools, I've never seen a steel wall pool not rust. I have seen it was a Tallman pool that was Tallman sold, and they put a coating over the steel, and it was like a sheet of kind of vinyl coating that went over it. However, even though it didn't exhibit any rust on the surface, you could go around and you could feel the rust under the vinyl coating. And you know, it was supposed to be a rust inhibitor, but all it was the coating. It's the same thing as if you put this foam wall on it. The only purpose of foam wall is to protect the liner from the wall. In fact, I always tell everybody, the only thing for the whole design of the pool is to hold the liner in place and to protect the liner. That's the whole thing. You know, so me, when I sell pools, I used to tell people, I don't care what kind of wall you put. You can put a steel wall, wood wall, fiberglass wall. Every one of them have their pros and cons. So it comes down to which one you prefer. All right. Now, of course, I'm just showing you guys this same picture. My pump is about 2 inches. Now I'm gonna set my camera up, and I'm gonna see if I can't move it over here. Oh, I really don't want to stand in wet boots all day. So I'm just gonna freeze my feet off for a minute. Take my boots off. Okay, so right now I'm jumping in this pool, but before I get a bunch of comments, number one, I checked my pump. I have a new pump, it's fairly new, and my extension cord's good, and I'm connected to a ground fault. And I did test the ground fault before I got in this pool. So I'm comfortable walking around in this pool with the pump running.
That is cool. Alright. I'll use my boots as my camera stand. However, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to set. I'm going to take them. Now you see the bottom's tore up all right here. So right here's where I'm going to set the pump. I get to put my boots back on. We have it down. The water's down to where I can walk in here. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out a little deeper. Dig this hole out a little deeper so that sump can sit a little lower. We got the pool base bottom here. We got cracks over here, water running in. I don't see any evidence of water coming across right there. So this is surface water. This ain't a spring. This is coming off the yard and running off. It's called watershed. All right. Now I'm gonna turn you guys off a minute. I'm gonna get a water hose and I'm gonna rinse all this pool bottom off so that while it's wet I can get this clay and all off the bottom of this pool. And then we'll let it run. Tomorrow's supposed to be a nice sunny day, and we'll let it dry out real good. We'll come back in, patch the bottom there, patch the bottom. We're gonna have to look and see how that water is getting through there, because otherwise we'll seal this thing back up, it'll just come right back under. But we do have bottom patch work to do across here and across over here where I dug the hole out, all the way over to the bottom's bad, all the way over to here. So from this whole area over here, the bottom is given. So we're gonna patch all that up. All right, I'm gonna cut you guys off so I can get you wet. Subsurface. The other thing I noticed about the bottom of this pool, when the installers installed it, their pool base just for comparison, that's my thumb. Well, let's do my finger. That's my forefinger. Okay, the pool base is just like any other surface, a concrete surface that you put in. It's designed to be 3 inches thick. And, what's up, hero? 1 second. It's designed to be 3 inches thick. It's only a inch thick. So that leads also to the easy deterioration over here. Okay, so
I'm going to go ahead, I goofed again. I'm going to go ahead and input the audio in right here because the only thing you're going to hear in the background is the vacuum running, and it's so loud. So I'm going to turn down the actual sound of the video, and I'm just going to describe what I'm doing. I goofed again. I forgot to hit the play button on the camera, so we actually missed videoing where I patched the bottom. But I mixed up the pool base, and I filled in the holes, cleaned up all the dirt that where I had dug it out with the hole where the pump was sitting, and I filled it in. I applied the pool base. Now you can apply pool base when you apply it. You want to mix it up. You can set it wet, and you can actually put the liner right on top of it, and it will dry up underneath the liner. And right here, what I'm doing, I'm getting setting the last of the shop vac in place, and I've actually got the shop vac hanging over here. I am attaching the liner back in its place. The liner itself, it's got a edge on the top bead, and it's kind of like a zip lock. It has a track that runs around the top of the pool, and the liner has an edge. And the two edges, basically, you pushed into it, they lock down. It's the downward pressure of the water pushing down on the liner that holds the liner in place. Okay, so after I get the liner in place, got the vacuum pulling up, it's holding the liner in place. There's, to adjust the slight wrinkles out, I was walking around pushing the majority of them out, but I'm going to do more of an aggressive push with the liner, so I'm going to switch into my tennis shoes. You don't really want to do it with boots because it's a little too aggressive on the liner. So I switched into my tennis shoes. These little tennis shoes don't hurt the liner at all. The rubber, in fact, grips it very well. And as you can see, I'm pushing the liner with my feet to pull all the wrinkles over to the sides of the pool. And as the water's coming up, as I'm working here, the water will hold everything in place. Okay, right about now, have about 2 inches of water in the pool. It's the depth and all the wrinkles right in place. Got a wrinkle-free finish at the bottom. So now we're going to go over here, and I need to pull the light back in. So I'm dropping the light cord in there, and I'm going to tie it back to the string, and then I'll pull the string and pull the light all the way through it. The homeowner comes back out, and he's talking to me here for a second. But the light itself, the cord, it runs through a conduit all the way over to the power panel, and I'm going to tie it right here. I'll pull it back through, and this light just twists back into its little housing. And after I get that all in place, the light will be ready to rewire back up. I'll connect the wiring back up, and we'll fire this one back up. Okay, we got the liner in place. Water's going in good. I've got the lights both in place. I'm going to test them. You can't see it, but I'm holding the remote control for the light, and I'm running it through its color sequence. We'll do a quick test to make sure they all work, and let the pool fill up. All right, and we're finished. Here is the liner back in place and full of water. Just real quick, over here, right there is where we patched the bottom. You can see it's flat, smooth, no indications that it's we did the bottom work, and we actually lifted that bottom approximately a half an inch. Right there, I tapered it in, but you can't even see it. Overall, it needs vacuumed. The pool needs cleaned, just from the last bit of residuals. But she is full, no longer floating, and all the liner is locked back in its correct places. Alright. So, alright, in the end, this pool was a challenge. It's designed the way it was designed and built, created some issues that normally a pool like this shouldn't have. Mainly, we have identified that the second level of concrete right here is allowing water. It's got a low spot right in the middle, and the water is diverting into the pool, which is that combined with the fact that the surface water in this area already has a high water table. It's going to create issues down this pool. Now, you can mitigate those problems, one, by always making sure this pool is kept at full level. It's going to be a close balance. You have to keep it at full level while not allowing it to overfill. And that metal track, that aluminum track, it's aluminum, that the liner is locked into, once the water reaches that level, any other water just goes right behind the pool, and that combined with water table will pick the liner up, and you will have a floating issue. So, and normally the only extra water you're going to get in the pool is just the raindrop that's falling down in it. Because of this upper level right here, not only are you going to have the raindrops falling in, but you're also going to have water that's collecting on this concrete deck and is diverting and going into the pool. Homeowner has been given what it would take to rectify that situation. At this time, he's going to try and take care of it himself. That he is, in the construction trades, electrician. So obviously he's used to a little manual labor, so maybe he'll be able to come over and fix it. Otherwise, I expect a call back. Probably next winter. We have probably another month of wet weather, and he can closely watch it, mitigate it, and then we're going to hit into the Georgia summers, and it'll dry, and he won't even notice the issue, and it won't rear its ugly head again until next winter. Overall, it is a pretty pool. He can enjoy it. I gave him all the tips as a new pool owner I could, and we will call this one done.